طيب. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Khalid Alnajjar, and I will be your tutor for this session. This session will be about alternative pathways of carbohydrates metabolism, and you will know in a bit the complete details about it. Right here down is my details. First of all, this is the doctor's details. This is a slide from the doctor. Right here is my phone number and email. If you want to ask me any question regarding this lecture, this block or parallel or anything else, I will be more than happy to help. طيب. Let's start with an overview of what alternative pathways of carbohydrates is, or what I mean by that. So first of all, I want you to know or to keep in mind that monosaccharides are three types: glucose, fructose, and galactose. Okay. The main one is glucose, and the one that we are all familiar with. I'm here to explain the rest of them, which are the fructose and galactose, and how we can or how can they contribute to energy metabolism, or how can we transform them from fructose and galactose to glucose so the body can use them and utilize them efficiently. First of all, I want you to see a couple of molecules we have from our body. For example, lactose. Lactose is a disaccharide. Okay. You should notice that your body only deals with monosaccharides. Okay. So if you provide your body with a disaccharide, your body should, or your body will transform this disaccharide to a monosaccharide in order to efficiently deal with it. Okay. And again, what are monosaccharides? Glucose, galactose, fructose. Keep that in mind. So lactose, for example, is a disaccharide, and so it's a disaccharide, and your body will change it to glucose and galactose. The enzyme is lactase, okay, the famous lactase. And you all know that lactose comes from milk and dairy products generally. Sucrose is also a disaccharide. Is also a disaccharide, and your body will change it or to transform it to glucose and fructose. Okay, so glucose, fructose, galactose are all monosaccharides. And sucrose comes from sugar, table sugar, just also called sugar cane, sweets, and also some fruits. Fructose is a monosaccharide, does not need to be changed to anything. It can be absorbed and dealt with in the liver perfectly. And this is the sugar in the fruits. Sorbitol is a sugar alcohol. It is not a monosaccharide, but your body can deal with it, and I will explain how in a bit. And it also comes with it also comes in fruits. Ribose deoxyribose is a monosaccharide, and it comes from nucleic acids. This is a small, let me hide this. Okay, this is what I'll be explaining today, basically. I just added this slide here. It was in the doctor's slides, and let me bring the pointer. It was in the doctor's slides, and it's good to yeah, perfect. It's good to be in an introduction. طيب. Let's start with fructose metabolism. But let me show you. So this is sucrose. Sucrose is, again, as I said, is changed to fructose and glucose. Glucose is glycolysis, as you know, and fructose is what I will be explaining today. Remember, lactose, it's not in this figure, unfortunately, but lactose is converted to galactose and glucose. Again, glucose glycolysis, and galactose I'll be explaining today. Mannose is another monosaccharide. Okay, so let me start with fructose. Fructose is absorbed from the small intestines. طيب, you have mainly two transporters, and I'll explain what are they. So let me read. Feed fructose is absorbed into enterocytes via facilitated diffusion by GLUT5. So what's GLUT5? What's enterocytes? I know you didn't take GI, so you don't know what enterocytes are. Okay, you know how your small intestines, the lumen of your small intestines, so the food or the nutrients in the lumen of your small intestine will be absorbed by the cells of your small intestines, and these cells are called enterocytes. Okay, and then from the cells of the small intestines, they will be transported to the liver or to any other body organ or body cell. This is generally nutrients. Okay, for fructose, it should be again, as the case with any other nutrient, it should be absorbed into the enterocytes, from the lumen to the enterocytes. Okay, and then this happens through a transporter called the GLUT5. Okay, I think you learned about GLUT 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in glycolysis, but using GLUT5. Okay, and then from the enterocytes to the blood, in order to arrive to the liver, through GLUT2. All right. This sentence here, basically, GLUT5 does not require insulin to work. As far as I remember, entry to fructose into the cells is not insulin dependent, and in contrast to glucose, fructose does not promote the secretion of insulin. That's why sugar in fruits does not sugar in fruits does not increase your insulin in the blood, because again GLUT5 does not require insulin. Like, let me talk about the breakdown of the metabolism of fructose. So this slide has the text that I will be explaining in the next slide. I love this figure. Okay, this is fructose. Starts right here. Fructose has to go into the. By the way, this happens in the liver. That's one. Fructose is ATP is added to fructose to make fructose 1-phosphate, and this is done by the help of the enzyme fructokinase. Okay, and again, fructose 1-phosphate. Again, I want to remind you here that we are trying to convert fructose to glucose, or to a form of glucose that can be used by our body to create energy, because always the end goal is energy. Okay, anything you eat, anything you do, the end goal is energy. That's how your body functions. This is how your body thinks. Whatever you give your body, it will think about how can I make it energy efficient? How can I store it? This is literally the protocol of your body and how it works. So again, fructokinase will convert fructose to fructose 1-phosphate. Aldolase B will convert fructose 1-phosphate to these two products. Okay? Now, these two products are what is called, is what is called triosis. Those two products are called triosis, okay? So an aldolase B is this step is the committed step of fructose metabolism, which is the aldolase B converting fructose 1-phosphate to 1-dihydroxyacetone phosphate and 2 glyceraldehyde, okay? And both of them will be converted to this product. And this product, if you remember your glycolysis metabolism, is one of the ingredients, quote unquote, of glycolysis, okay? Again, we have fructose. Fructose in the cell, in the liver cells, will be trapped in the cell using the enzyme fructokinase. How? Fructokinase will come, will bring an ATP, combine an ATP to fructose, will give us fructose 1-phosphate. Okay, we'll take the phosphate from here, put it here, and we will end up with 1-phosphate, which is the ADP, and fructose 1-phosphate. Okay? Fructose 1-phosphate is trapped in the hepatocytes, which are the liver cells. Aldolase B will convert fructose 1-phosphate to those two products. Those two products, both of them will change or end up to a product, or which will end up to a product that is used in glycolysis. Let me go back to the text here. Fructokinase activates fructose by adding an ATP to it. Aldolase B splits into two trioses. Fructose 1, Aldolase B splits hexose, which is fructose 1-phosphate, into two trioses, dihydroxyacetone P, and glyceraldehyde. Okay, these two. Those will be converted to glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, which is fed into glycolysis because, again, it's one of the steps of glycolysis. Okay? Aldolase B is the rate-limiting enzyme of fructose metabolism, not glucose metabolism, okay? Because glucose metabolism, which is glycolysis, if I clearly remember, is PFK. Yeah, PFK. Phosphofructokinase 2. Like, now, this is the metabolism of fructose. Look at the box here. I added to what would happen if we have a deficiency in one of these enzymes. So a deficiency in enzyme number 1, which is fructokinase, will give us a disease that is called essential fructosuria, and I'll explain both of them now. And a deficiency in fructose, a deficiency in aldolase B will give us a disease called fructose intolerance. Before going into the details, I just want to explain on this figure. So I want you to imagine with me, just think with me. Let's say you don't have fructokinase. What will happen? Fructose will stay outside. Fructose will not be activated to start to go into the process and be metabolized. So it will be outside the cell. What will happen? it will be your body will get rid of it in the urine. Okay, so nothing will happen basically. You will not. What will basically happen? Your body will not use fructose efficiently because this enzyme is not there. So it's not that harmful. Okay, and your body is just getting rid of fructose in the urine. Like what if you have deficiency in aldolase B? Now you have the step before aldolase B is the step that activates fructose and put it in the process and entraps it in the enterocyte. For now you have fructose 1-phosphate accumulating in the liver, صح? Just stay here and I will go into the details now. This essential fructosuria is the deficiency in fructokinase enzyme. It's a benign condition, and the excess fructose will be lost in the urine. طيب. Now the other disease, which is hereditary fructose intolerance, which is a deficiency in aldolase B, what will happen? Again, I told you accumulation of fructose 1-phosphate. What will happen if fructose 1-phosphate accumulated in the liver? See, basically, fructose 1-phosphate is a shared ingredient between multiple processes, okay? It's not only fructose metabolism. You will see fructose 1-phosphate in glycolysis, glycogenolysis, and multiple processes, صح? Or metabolisms. In that case, or because of this, the accumulation of fructose 1-phosphate will inactivate or inhibit certain enzymes, mainly phosphorylase, liver fructose 1,6-bisphosphate aldolase, and fructokinase. Okay, so it will turn off or deactivate or inhibit fructose metabolism and glycogenolysis and gluconeogenesis, because all of these enzymes play an important role in these processes. طيب. Which will induce hypoglycemia. Why? Because gluconeogenesis and glycogenolysis, their role is to provide your body with glucose. If you don't have them, you will have hypoglycemia. You will have your glycogen stored in your liver, but your liver cannot break it down to glucose for your organs and muscles to use them. Hence, you will have hypoglycemia. Same with gluconeogenesis. You will have fats, you will have triglycerides that will be stored as they are because gluconeogenesis is basically not working, and hence you will have hypoglycemia. You get it? Like, as a result, you will have a damage in your livers, in your liver and in your kidneys. This is for the diseases diseases in case if you have an enzyme deficiency. Like, there is an interesting concept about fructose metabolism here, which is the conversion of glucose to fructose. How? Via sorbitol. Let me explain it on my figure. See, this is basically glycolysis. Glucose 6-phosphate through hexokinase or glucokinase, and then through all of the metabolism, glycolysis will give us pyruvate. This is glycolysis or normoglycemia. Yani normoglycemia here, they mean by it, keeping a constant glucose in your body, which is normoglycemia, neither hypo nor hyper. Okay, but however, we have another route for glucose. Glucose can be converted to sorbitol. What is sorbitol? Sorbitol is basically a sugar, as I mentioned in the very first slide. طيب. But what's the issue if glucose was converted to sorbitol? Nothing, because the majority of the organs in our body has this enzyme, which is sorbitol dehydrogenase. Now, what does sorbitol dehydrogenase do? It converts the dangerous sorbitol to fructose, and then fructose will carry on in its metabolism to give us glycolysis, to give us glucose, تمام? Through glycolysis. But what's the issue? Okay, then what's the problem? The problem is with this enzyme. So this secondary route basically takes a glucose and converts it to sorbitol through the enzyme aldolase reductase, okay? And I said, the majority of your organs have sorbitol dehydrogenase, hence it will convert this dangerous or this bad molecule, which is sorbitol, to fructose, and fructose is a lovely molecule that can be used by your body or by your liver very easily and efficiently. However, we have few organs that lack sorbitol dehydrogenase. Hence, sorbitol will accumulate in these organs. If sorbitol accumulated in huge amounts, and again, it's a bad molecule, it will cause problems. Fine. First of all, the three organs are the kidneys, the eyes, the lens and retina, and Schwann cells. And I will add one to them, which is شو اسمه؟ وصل يا النبي. The epididymis, okay? I will explain now. I have it written in the next slide. طيب, again, glucose will be converted to sorbitol through aldolase reductase, and sorbitol will be converted to fructose through sorbitol dehydrogenase. هلا, we will only see the effect of sorbitol if sorbitol levels were very, very high. When will sorbitol levels be very, very high? If you have very, very high glucose. Now, if you have very, 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 very high levels of glucose in your body or in your blood, most of it will be converted to pyruvate and so on in its metabolism. But however, a chunk of it will be converted to sorbitol and to fructose. طيب. But if this chunk is large, because the main glucose, all of the glucose is too much, يعني the sorbitol will accumulate in these three organs. And again, accumulation within the cells that only contain aldose reductase will cause osmotic damage. Osmotic damage يعني damage to these organs. And this explains the presentation of diabetes patients. Now, I don't know if you know this, but diabetes patients can present, or a patient with diabetes has a higher risk of developing three things: retinopathy, okay, which is a problem in the retina; nephropathy, which is a problem in the kidneys; and the neuropathy, which is a problem in the nerves or Schwann cells specifically. طيب? And they are called diabetic retinopathy, diabetic nephropathy, diabetic neuropathy. Okay. Again, when will this present? A diabetic patient who ingested too much glucose, and basically a diabetic patient cannot convert glucose to pyruvate because no insulin. So all of the glucose will go to the second route, which will be converted to sorbitol. In all of your body, it will be no problem because this sorbitol will be converted to fructose via sorbitol dehydrogenase. However, in those four organs that I mentioned, sorbitol will not be changed to fructose because these four organs lack sorbitol dehydrogenase. For accumulation of sorbitol will cause osmotic damage. طيب. Okay, I think this is it for this topic, for this concept. Now let's talk about galactose metabolism. طيب. Absorption of galactose. First of all, galactose is part of glucose, and galactose is mainly part of lactose, which is found in milk products. Lactose is cleaved in the small intestines by lactase. You have lactose in, again, remember the very, very first slide. Lactose is a disaccharide, and your body cannot deal with disaccharides, so it should break it down to monosaccharides. And the monosaccharide that is made from lactose is basically galactose and glucose. Okay, so lactose gave us galactose. Now your body should deal with galactose, the monosaccharide. Okay, this is all done, by the way, in your intestinal lumen. You have free galactose in your intestinal lumen. It will be absorbed into the enterocytes via SGLT1. What is this, Khalid? Enterocytes, again, as I mentioned before, is the cell in your small intestines. It will absorb free galactose from the lumen of the intestine via which transporter? A transporter called SGLT1. Okay, and the free galactose will be transported from the enterocyte to the blood via GLUT2, and from the blood to the liver for further metabolism. Let me explain the metabolism of it on my figure. طيب. This is the breakdown of galactose. It's basically, if you're interested in reading it, read it. I will be explaining it on this figure. طيب. As I said, you have lactose. Lactose can be converted to glucose. Get rid of glucose through glycolysis خلاص, and it can be converted to galactose. صح? Galactose is a monosaccharide that your body should deal with through this metabolism. طيب. Forget about this for a second. I will be back to it. Focus on this because this is the main process or metabolism of galactose. Galactose is converted to galactose 1-phosphate through the enzyme galactokinase. Okay, so galactokinase will add a 1-phosphate that will bring it from ATP to galactose to form galactose 1-phosphate, and the remaining is ADP. Okay, this is easy. This is the similar step to fructose. طيب. Now galactose 1-phosphate will be converted to UDP galactose through the enzyme galactose 1. I don't know how to read this. You don't need to read this. Just memorize the shortcut of it. Okay. And you will have glucose 1-phosphate. Again, remember, glucose 1-phosphate is an ingredient, quote unquote, in glycolysis. Like now, UDP galactose and UDP glucose are both products, the products of galactose, and can be used in glycogenolysis. Okay. Mainly UDP glucose, glycogen synthesis. It is a part of the glycogen synthesis, which is called glycogenolysis. Okay. It's part of that process. Yani galactose is converted to UDP glucose using those enzymes. UDP glucose is used in glycogen synthesis and then stored in the liver. So yeah, those 4 enzymes. I will be back to this 1 second. Now, galactosemias. Now, what can go wrong in this process? 1, 2, 3. We have 3 enzymes. Any one of them can be deficient, and every deficiency of every enzyme, specific enzyme, will lead to a certain disease. Let's think together again. If we don't have galactokinase, what will happen? You don't have galactokinase, galactose will accumulate, صح? In fructose, if you remember, fructose accumulated and your body got rid of it through urine, صح? This is not the case here. Why? Because we have this small step. Sorry. This small step is basically converting galactose to galactylol. Galactitol. Galactitol. Yeah, galactitol. Okay, what is this? And why is it happening? I told you, mainly galactose will be converted through this process. But if we have too much galactose, or this process is not working for some reason, this process will start, or this step will start overworking, basically. And galactitol will be accumulated. What will happen in case of accumulation of galactitol? Cataracts, liver failure, mental retardation, galactosuria. You want to understand what these are? Sure. Basically, galactitol is or can cause osmotic damages. It's very similar to sorbitol. Sorbitol can cause osmotic damage, and galactitol as well. Galactitol can cause osmotic damage in the eye, hence causing cataracts. If it accumulated, of course. Same goes for the liver. If it accumulated in the liver, it will cause liver failure. And in case of children or babies, if it accumulated in their brain while they are growing, it will cause mental retardation, and so on. Okay. Galactosuria is basically excretion of galactose in the urine. Yes, it will be converted to galactitol, but if you have this process not working, we will have galactose especially in babies, because babies are only fed on milk. Milk has lactose, which will be converted to galactose. Too much galactose will be excreted in urine and converted to galactitol. نص بنص يعني. And whatever is converted to galactitol will cause these problems. And basically, galactosemias means deficiency in one of these enzymes, which are galactokinase, uridyl transferase, or 4-AP emerase, which are these enzymes 1, 2, 3. Okay. This basically again summarizes what I said. You should know them all, by the way. 1, 2, mainly. Aldose reductase, again, which is this step. If we have this enzyme deficient, nothing will happen. The patient won't be affected because you're basically eliminating a step that is unneeded. Okay. You can read here. You can read this on your own. Luxury time. These are the three. These are the three disorders that can happen in galactose metabolism. Let's go over them really quickly. Galactose 1-phosphate uridyl transferase, which is this step. Okay. What will accumulate? Go back. Sorry. 1, 2 will accumulate. Okay. There you go. And galactitol, of course. Galactokinase. If we have galactokinase deficient, we have galactose accumulating, because it is the very first step, and galactitol because of aldose reductase. UDP galactose epimerase, which is the very last step, which is converting the last or the before last product to UDP galactose, converting UTP galactose to UTP glucose, which is the product used in glycogen synthesis. But you will have all the previous products or ingredients, let me call them, accumulating. طيب. Finally, the last two slides, lactose synthesis. This is not very important, by the way. I just want to tell you, you will see when the doctor explains this lecture, inshallah. Lactose synthesis, you just need to know, lactose, your body can produce lactose, especially lactating women or pregnant ladies. They have to produce lactose because they are feeding their babies. طيب. This is done through the enzyme lactose synthase, okay? Sorry. What is lactose intolerance? Lactose intolerance, by the way, this is interesting because many people refer to lactose intolerance as an allergy. People keep on saying, I have an allergy against lactose. However, it's not an allergy because allergy tends to be something related to your immune system. I don't want to go into details. Lactose intolerance is due to lactase deficiency. Lactase is the enzyme that, remember the very first slide, lactase is the enzyme that it breaks down lactose to glucose and galactose. You don't have this enzyme kicked out, you won't have galactose and glucose. Lactose will stay in the intestinal lumen, okay? What if lactose stayed or accumulated in the intestinal lumen? The bacteria, the normal flora or the normal bacteria in your small intestines will ferment this lactose, hence giving us all of these symptoms, which are gases, water retention, bloating. The gases will cause bloating طبعا, and cramps, diarrhea because of the liquids, nausea, and so on. This is basically my lecture. Please scan this barcode for feedback. I really care and read your feedback. Thank you for attending. If you have any questions, you can contact me. Because I know you'll be watching this in the recording, so you can contact me on my phone number, or email. My references are the doctor's slides, my brain, and Ambos. Thank you very much for attending.
Okay, thank you so much, Doc.